everyone, I'm Lizzie Nopo, and welcome to another episode of Life is Strange Diary Entries. Today we're going to be going over the entries from Episode 4, Dark Room. Now, the Episode 4 entries are a little bit unique in comparison to the rest of them, because in addition to the normal diary entries, it also has a page of entries from the alternate universe version of Max. So we're actually going to go check those out first. September 4th, 2013. So much to do. I wish I could slow down time, especially to register all the cool things that have happened since I'm back in Arcadia. Blackwell rules! September 21st. Yes, I'm older, and thanks to Vic and Nathan, I'm now a bit more fashionable too. They surprised me with the most beautiful straw pork pie hat, wrapped up furoshiki style. Best birthday party ever. Also drunkest. I can't sleep. October 4th. Hey dear diary, remember me? Busy, Max. Busy. Can't write now. Must shoot. Must live. Must befriend. Should rekindle with Chloe too. But must vortex first. Party time! Now then, we're gonna get back into our normally scheduled main timeline entries. October 10th. Dear diary, let's never do the time warp again. I can't even begin to explain what happened. If I think too hard about the ramifications, my brain might melt. When I try to describe it, it's as if I'm describing something that happened to someone else. Chloe was so upset when we discovered that Rachel had actually been involved with Frank Bowers, and she just blew up. I can never talk to her when she's like this, and I just get so tired of having to walk on eggshells around her emotions. She still blames William for her messed up life, no matter how much she knows she's being unfair. I can't say that I wouldn't be just as messed up. Not that I'm not in my own way. In my room, all I could think was, I wish I could go back in time and help Chloe. And suddenly, I was looking at the photograph William had taken of us on the day he died. And it started pulsing, like it was 3D. Like I could see inside the photograph. Then I found myself actually back in the photo. To when I was 13 years old. I was back in Chloe's kitchen in the year 2008. With Chloe and William. Right before he left to pick up Joyce for the last time. Since my powers somehow morphed to this new level of rewind, I decided that there was no way I was going to let William die again. So I played hide the keys until he had no other option but to take the bus. I was so happy I actually saved William. I never thought about what could go wrong. I knew I was screwed when I came out of my epic rewind and saw Victoria Chase. But now she was my friend, and I was a member of the Vortex Club. Enough said. I knew I had screwed up. And then I felt sick thinking about what might have changed with Chloe. I had a clue when I saw David Madsen driving the school bus. He sure didn't look so threatening anymore. I didn't want to know how he ended up as a bus driver instead of with Joyce. I felt my heart drop when I rushed to Chloe's house. So when William opened the door, I prepared myself for the worst. That's when Chloe rolled forward in her wheelchair, paralyzed from the neck down. I didn't even know what to say, so I covered my mouth in my typical gesture of shock and stupid. Chloe's smile was so genuine and beautiful, I almost cried. I had to adjust to everything without freaking out or telling Chloe that I actually altered time and space to save her father, but get her in a car accident so she could never walk again. The thing is, she was still Chloe, just minus all the rage. This Chloe was just grateful to be alive and have her family watching over her. Chloe begged me to spend the night, and, of course, I did. I noticed how run down parts of their home were compared to before. I saw the incredible expensive equipment that Chloe now requires, including her new garage room. Sorry, David. Even though I felt awful and disconnected, Chloe was just so bubbly and excited to hang out with me again, especially since I flaked on her pretty hardcore after her accident. Even in an alternate universe, I'm a shitty friend. Chloe's world was so new and unique to me, especially her strength and kindness. And pain. She needed a whole pharmacy to get through the day. I didn't feel sorry for her. I felt in awe with her attitude. This Chloe didn't blame anybody for her condition, even though she had the right. We strolled down the beach and saw the beached whales that proved something bad was happening in both realities. And then Chloe asked me to put her to sleep. The accident left her body pretty much broken. Her lungs stopped working properly, and she was basically dying a slow, painful death. She also felt so guilty about her parents' sacrifice and dwindling income. She wasn't erratic or tortured about this request, just practical, which made me feel even more terrible for putting her in this situation. I agreed to help her, simply because she explained that she wanted to have a choice for the last time in her life. How could I argue with that? Especially since I knew I screwed up the entire universe by making a simple decision. And I knew I would have to go back eventually and accept the timeline that actually happened. So Chloe and I had one last movie night watching Blade Runner, falling asleep to the sounds of Vangelis, and when I woke up, I put my best friend to sleep. Forever. After my visit to Chloe's new world, I knew it was time to go Max to the future. I had seen the result of my temporal tampering, and I got scared thinking my new power wouldn't even work anymore. That would have been cruel karma. Fortunately, I was able to project myself into the photograph once again, and I undid everything I had done. Goodbye, William. Again. Hello, David. Again. I had never been so glad to see Chloe in my life. The second I saw her blue hair and that beautiful pissed-off face, I wanted to kiss her again. And I couldn't even tell her where I had been, or why. It would be one more thing to alienate Chloe from me and the world. I had to get refocused on our search for Rachel. Chloe had been busy with her detective work while I was in my alternate timeline. Of course, she was already upset I'd defended David, even though I still didn't like any of his surveillance bullshit. But it seems like he's trying to help, even though I'm not really sure how. And I have to acknowledge that I simply don't know what the hell he's up to. Not that it stopped me from busting out some of my patented ninja moves so I could get around him to grab some more of his secret X-Files. After we gathered our new info like Halloween treats, I loved watching Chloe go into Sherlock mode while we examined all of our clues on our big old drawing board. Of course, we all know that she's more of a Dr. Watson, right? Elementary. Honestly, with all of the impending doom and sadness, I felt so happy. Just to find myself back in action with my best friend and her butterfly blue hair. Hella yes. But first things first, I really had to go and see Kate. I've never visited anybody in the hospital before, much less anybody who's tried to commit suicide, so I was happy Chloe wanted to come along for support. The antiseptic smell and the endless white halls always kind of weird me out. Or maybe I'm just projecting my own fear of mortality. When I saw Kate in her room surrounded by cards, flowers, and balloons, all I could think of was when I saw her the last time. On the roof. Her face was so sad and sincere and helpless then, but now she had more life in her than I'd seen in a long time. I had no idea what to say to somebody in a situation like this. How are you after you almost jumped off a roof? But Kate's gentle spirit made it easy. I was overjoyed to see that she was drawing again and making plans for the future, including plans to get justice for what Nathan Prescott had done to her, or what I call revenge. So after getting the inside info and assist from the other members of our team, Chloe and I made our way to the boys' dorm, aka Nathan's lair. Chloe stood guard out in the hall, and I stealthed my way into Nathan's room. And even though I've become a master spy and detective, I still get surprised by things I see or find, like Nathan's sleek, expressionist bro cave. It was like walking from light to shadow in a single step. I swear, I could feel the temperature drop the second I walked in. But then, Nathan knows photography, and he knows you have to keep the film and equipment chilled. I store my instant film hoard in Mr. Jefferson's classroom. Speaking of cold stuff, Nathan's room was layered in creepy shit. The disturbing but impressive photos, all the evidence from his father's bullying, and probably the most important clue we could ever find, Nathan's phone, likely loaded with messages and mysteries. It's not a good thing that I've internalized spying and stealing so casually over the past week. Everyday hero, am I right? And that's when Nathan Prescott showed up. He looked so wild-eyed and out of control that I felt a twinge of sympathy that he clearly needed help. But then I remembered he was also an asshole, and had been extremely dangerous to me, Chloe, and Kate. So before I had to rewind, Warren entered the scene, and my White Knight headbutted Nathan in perfect payback. I couldn't believe it. Neither could Nathan. In fact, Warren literally started to go ape all over Nathan's face. It wasn't cool, but my nerves were so frayed from the week, and I was so over all the Blackwell bullies that I almost didn't want to stop Warren from beating Nathan into the floor. Warren has his own issues to work out with Nathan, but this wasn't the time or place. Even if Nathan deserved it, and I would have been happy to watch Warren show him who was a Blackwell boss now. After that dorm brawl, Chloe and I headed to the beach to deal with Frank and see if we could get him to join us. I had to be careful and not get him all tweaked out. He was pretty pissed that someone had gotten into his RV and borrowed his account book, but once he saw that we didn't care about drugs or money, only Rachel, he mellowed out. All I could think was, I'm trying to get a drug dealer to help me find a missing girl. Incredibly, Frank actually agreed to help. He knows how naive and clueless we are, so I hope that our sincerity swayed him. I'm still unsure about him, and I can't be so naive not to keep my rewind guard up. I don't know much about him, except that he sells drugs, has a wicked temper, and they loved Rachel. Even more than his beans. So, we get to add another member to our team. Booyah! My life feels so surreal at this point, I don't know how to react anymore. I can rewind time and space, but is it aging me before my own time and space? Am I learning things I shouldn't, messing up too much shit? Including my own history? Obviously, my nosebleeds and dizzy spells are a bad sign that I'm overusing my powers, but it's become almost part of my nature. Or maybe a habit. Power corrupts? Not yet, I hope. I remember this famous episode of the original Star Trek, where Kirk has to go back in time and let the person he loves die so the Nazis won't win the war. What kind of fucked up choice is that? What would have happened if I had not been in the school bathroom to save Chloe that day? But damn it, I was there, and thus I was supposed to be there. Destiny. And the fact that we were able to convince Frank to actually help us gives the most hope I've had in a while. Yes, Chloe and I were stupid to confront Frank like that, considering how he reacted before, but I don't see how anyone could say he didn't really love Rachel Amber. He shouldn't have pulled a knife on Chloe, though, and I don't like that he sells all these dangerous meds to teenagers, especially Nathan. He needs psychiatric supervision, not just baggies of pills. At least he won't be going to Frank again. I still don't know why Chloe or even Rachel would want to hang out with Frank, but I can't suss that out anymore. Maybe if I hadn't left town, I'd be less judgmental. But now we have Nathan's phone, David's coordinates, Frank's account book, and a big board of clues, which brings us closer to finding Rachel Amber. Finally. So maybe the tide is finally turning. Or time is finally turning. This is the moment where all the clues come together and we finally have a location outside of town that may lead us straight to Rachel Amber. And beyond. After everything that happened with Frank, I had to convince Chloe to keep going forward with me, since I do feel we're at the end of the road. Hopefully not the end of the world. But whatever anger Chloe has inside her that makes her so self-destructive is matched by her balls and bravery. Yes, Chloe has gotten me nearly killed, but I know she would die for me. And I can't forget I put her in a wheelchair to slowly die in another reality. And Chloe's more focused now than before. I told her we have to keep moving forward no matter what, and I couldn't find Rachel on my own. That was enough. Now it's time to shine a light into the dark room. Chloe and I loaded up our coordinates and hit the road. We were both quiet, yet excited. It's hard to explain the feeling. Even with all the horrible things happening, I found myself thinking that Chloe and I were part of some greater mystery that involved time, space, and all of our fates. I've never had much faith. Not the Kate Marsh kind, anyway. But I couldn't believe we were being set up for doom after everything that's happened this week. But I wasn't prepared for the dark room. The coordinates led us to an old abandoned farm owned by the Prescott family. And I shouldn't have been surprised that it was actually housing a weird secure bunker that was filled with Prescott memorabilia. And worse. If there was evil ground zero, this place was it. Cupboards filled with named red binders that confirmed our worst nightmares. Not that I even had any clue that our amateur detective work would lead us to this kind of professional hell. When I saw the binder marked Victoria, my heart started pounding like a jackhammer. Then I had a real clue about what was coming. I don't even want to think about the images we saw of Kate Marsh posed unconscious with that motherfucker Nathan Prescott. She did know the truth about what happened to her, even if she couldn't remember all the awful details. And then, Rachel Amber. Delicately composed photographs of her drugged and all over Nathan like some kind of sick goth couple. I couldn't bear to look at Chloe's face as she looked at the photos of her abused angel. I felt nauseated. All the hope I was feeding Chloe felt like vapor. And then, we saw exactly where Nathan had taken his vicious layout with poor Rachel. In the junkyard. We finally found Rachel Amber. Dead and buried. I'm sorry, Rachel. I'm sorry, Chloe. I'm sorry, Kate. I'm sorry, William. Fuck you, Arcadia Bay. High school should be the best years of your life, I've heard over and over from my parents and other experts. Fuck do they know? Tell that to Rachel Amber. Or Kate. I've never seen Chloe so cold and hard. She won't let go of the gun. So we have to find Nathan before Chloe kills him. And if that happens, it'll be hard to rewind. But we're as close to the end of this nightmare as possible, so I have to block out those images of Kate Marsh and Rachel Amber that will be burned into my retinas forever. There's still a final secret to uncover, and nothing is going to stop us now. Not even a goddamn tornado. Chloe and I pulled up to Blackwell's parking lot and arrived at the end of the world party. Oh, the irony. We had to get rid of poor Warren fast, who wanted to bask in his alpha glory and hang out with Chloe and me. I can't put another one of my friends in danger. So bizarro to see all the students dressed up in expensive outfits or pre-Halloween costumes, talking and laughing and smoking and drinking, as if there wasn't a serial killer going to the same party, or the town wasn't in eco-danger. As if to remind me of Arcadia Bay's ticking doomsday clock, I actually saw 2 moons in the sky over the horizon. Or that's what it looked like briefly before the clouds rolled over. I squinted and actually rubbed my eyes like a dork just to make sure my iris wasn't foggy. Was this another sign or an environmental illusion? Other people saw it too. Except Chloe didn't see anything, besides vengeance. So she went into the gym looking for Nathan before I could catch up. Nathan doesn't know that he's running out of time too. No irony intended. We are. My first and last Vortex Club party. Flashing lights and DJ Doom, no comment, spinning. In an alternate reality, I might have been at this party, standing in the corner, shy and nervous, waiting for somebody to ask me to dance but being terrified if that happened. And that would have been the limits of my problems. Now look at me. But I had to find Chloe first, then Nathan before she shot him. No matter how evil I thought Victoria was, she's actually just a terribly insecure person with talent, passion, and a tendency to be a cruel dick for no good reason. I have to see beyond our petty mean girl drama and assume that she has a role to play in all of this too. So we talked like human beings, and I warned her, without specifics, about Nathan. She believed me, and it felt so warm to make a connection with my previous enemy. A sliver of light in all this darkness. Let there be more. Alright, and that concludes the diary entries for episode 4, Dark Room. Soon we are going to be jumping into the final part of this series, episode 5, Polarized, which will include the accompanying diary entries. And I'm actually trying to gauge interest for if I want to continue doing the journal entries in future entries of Life is Strange. So if you have been enjoying these, please let me know. If I don't get any feedback on this or episode 5's entries, I will probably not continue to do the journal entries for future Life is Strange games. Because as much as I like doing them, they are a lot of extra effort. And if you guys would rather me just focus on the main series, that's totally fine. And I totally get it. So, but I do want to know, like, what you guys would like. If you guys would like to see the journal entries continued in the future entries of Life is Strange, or if this is going to be the only sub-series of journal entries that I'll do. So please consider leaving some feedback if you feel so inclined. But with all that being said, I am going to leave this episode here, and I will see you guys in episode 5, Polarized.